Okay, 14-12, good luck. So it's a little bit of a rating gap. I shouldn't really play somebody quite such a gap. Only 16 games as well, a new account. Yeah, it's a new account, this. My opponent's not on the game. They're on the site, but they've just connected now. Okay. Yeah, the system shouldn't pair me up with somebody with quite such a gap. And of course, at the time you start the game, you never know if your opponent's rating is established and accurate or not. Oh, excuse me. Just developing the bishop. I'll just click my little heater on it. It's a little bit cool today, not cold, just cool. I'm just trying to get my bishop up, get castled, then worry about what to do. Potential threat to grab a pawn here, because if you check I can actually take. Obviously if you take I can take the queen, so there is a potential threat there. Okay, so we can potentially try and grab a pawn. You can't check this way to hit the knight, and if you check this way to hit the knight can simply drop back, and if you take with the knight, I take your queen. So that looks like a free pawn to me. Now I could take the knight first, but I don't think I should. So if I take and you take here, then I can just take back, can't I? And I'm still covering the check. So I'm just going to grab the pawn and trust that I'm not blundering. If I'm blundering, I'm blundering. You always get spells where you just don't see moves, you don't see what's in front of your eyes, but you just play what you do see. Okay, so now I can take, and you'll have to go with the pawn, but I could take with the knight, and then bishop here, grab another pawn, and then if you throw a check in, I can still block. Now there might be tricks there, grabbing a pawn takes, and you start getting checks in, but it feels alright. But I could just be sensible and take one, but I feel like I want to take them both. So take here, take. If you check, knight back. Knight takes. If I take, my bishop can then come back, actually, can't it? Yeah, so I'm going to go with the knight and trust I'm not blundering. If I am, it's risky. But I'm going to hit the rook and hope I can just drop back up and castle, something like that. If rook immediately across, I think I play bishop up, because there's always potential tricks here. So here, if you take, I mean, it would be quite an advanced level move if my opponent does try a sack there, but you never know. But I'm trusting if takes, and say you take, or he's just taken there. Again, if rook across now, my bishop does guard here. You might be able to take here. So I need rook over or bishop up. If I play bishop up to blockade the file, if you take, I'm safe to simply take back. And then if you take again, I can take again. So I think bishop up looks very sensible. Allows me just to castle, get the king out of Dodge City, get safe if we can. And we've gained some material along the way there. So the king's come forward to attack my bishop. That's very logical. So I assume I just want to drop back, and then the rook could get active on this file. But we've got the potential option to use the bishop as a giant pawn, and maybe even a second one. We can also try and pin this bishop to get it off the board now that the king's here. And again, if takes now, I think I'm still safe to take. If you take, I take. The file's still closed. There might be an idea like bishop in though, so gotta be careful. Okay, but now I'm in time to castle. Now if you take, I could still take back with the pawn, so I'm just going to castle here. And now I'm going to look to pin the bishop next move if it's still an option. Just force a piece off the board. We're up material, so it makes good sense. This bishop can become a giant pawn if needed to defend. Like say rook across, threatening bishop down. But obviously I'll intend to go here and just pin that bishop, get it off the board. I'll get the cursor off the board. Yeah, that's what my opponent's gone for. So I assume I just play bishop up here and make sure that bishop is neutralized. Well, I don't think there's any need to waste too much time. If you take bishop up, if you take, I take. If you check, I'm fine to block. If you check here, I'm fine to run. So if you check there and I run, is the queen crashing through? I don't think so. You've got to pay attention. Yeah, I'm going to go actually safety first. I'm going to use the pawn. The bishop is a big giant pawn, so you can't just sack and blast the king open, just in case I'm missing something. And now I'm hopefully going to play bishop finally up here next move, unless the king gets out of the way, but I suppose I could go there anyhow. Or just activate the rook somewhere. Yeah, the other rook's come across, so now I'm going to play it and try and get that bishop off the board. So what are we? We're up 2 pawns, and we've got obviously a much safer king. So we've got queen up threatening to jump across, so that looks very strong. We could try and activate a rook and do something like this and get an extra piece in the game. That looks a bit stronger to me. Queen up to go quicker might be technically better, but I guess you can blockade with the rook. So I'm going to move my rook across, and if that knight moves, then there's an attack on the pawn. If your pawn pushes down, I think I'm fine just to take it. Okay, the knight has moved, so queen up gets me out of the way, and we hit the pawn as well. Queen across, I guess you just go back. I'm going to go here just because I create an immediate check threat, with the king being very vulnerable there. If you take, I can grab the pawn, or I can throw the check in. Okay, so here, up, bishop up, down, check. Yeah, I might as well throw the check in to start, then at least I can grab the pawn if nothing else. Difficult position for white here, of course, not too much you can do. Okay, rook across, I can move the queen somewhere. So I'm just going to take there and attack the queen, guarded by my bishop. I'm still trying to play it sensibly, not take too long with my moves, but not try and equally overrush them and then drop a really sloppy blunder in, which is really possible to do. Okay, so goes across. So any tactics here? Bishop up, takes, check, down, check, block, and I think you're surviving. Check here, check, up, check, and you have to go with the queen back. Check, king takes, and check. So that's a way for my opponent to go wrong. So I think you have to go here. But I can't check here. All I could do is go back. So check here. If my opponent plays this, I've basically just wasted a move. I'd have to get out of the way because my queen's under attack. But it's a chance, I think, to walk into a nice checkmate with bishop check. You have to block, check. You have to block with a queen, takes. You have to take with a king, and then takes here, up. Yeah, I'm going to play it just because it's a chance for my opponent to go wrong going here. If you go here, I might have to just simply repeat and then activate my rook or hit the knight. Or I could play the queen here and threaten the pawn. Yeah, it has gone there, so I'm going to go for this line. It's a bit unfortunate for my opponent that I've got this combo here. But obviously there's nothing white can do, there's only a sequence of force moves. And obviously it's not fair on both players really when they pair you up when there's such a monstrous rating gap. So I'll throw the check in. You have to block with a queen, it's the only legal move, you can't move the king. So the queen goes back. So now you have to take with a king and we collect the other rook. And now we can take this one, we could take the knight, everything's winning of course. Let's just take the rook. I think I'll play queen across now. We attack 2 pawns. There's no real danger from the knight. So let's just take one, then the other one. Okay, we can check and hit the knight. Look for the triangle. My opponent resigns, but it's not a bad effort by my opponent there, considering the monstrous rating gap. Like I say, it's up to the system I play. It's not up to me. That's just arena chess, tournament chess. You play whoever you get you paired up against. So let's put it through the analyzer anyway and just see what it says. There was 31 moves. a relatively comfortable game for me, so it doesn't really matter what the accuracy figures are in this. It's the same for everybody at any level of chess. When you're playing somebody with a big rating gap like that, the games are usually relatively straightforward. That's why you get a lot of rating cheaters playing in these tournaments. Right, we've got 95% versus 87%. So your headline figure, my opponent just one blunder, 87% accuracy. So it's not bad, is it? When you're playing somebody when you're outrated by 800 points, that's not bad going. You can see we're level here, and then we've just gradually built an advantage out of the opening. And the engine is saying the one blunder is just that king to f1 because it's allowed that forced sequence that I was on about. If the king went back, I'd say, yeah, you've also got queen there to block. I would simply have traded, and we're still much better. I know I just want to win the games, doesn't matter how I win them. So, but a nice sequence came along, so we take a win. But you know, good effort by my opponent, well done.